Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We can get started here with our Mississippi State group. A couple reminders before we do start. Please silence your cell phones. If you have a question, raise your hand. Wait for the microphone and state your name and affiliation, please. If you are joining us on Zoom and you have a question, please raise your hand and we will do our best to get to you also. And with that, let me introduce our student athletes with us today. We have Chandler Prater. We have Medina Okot, and we have Jerkayla Jordan. And with that, we will take questions. Anybody? Right here.
Hi, Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. For any of you, really, what do you think it is about playing in the SEC that prepares you for this time of year?
So many ranked teams and such high-level competition. I think being a first-year player in the SEC, it definitely was a lot of fun just having that level of competition. Like, even if you get knocked down one night, the next night it might be another big one to play again. So just high competition every night.
We'll go here.
Hi, Beth Harris, AP. Maybe Jerkayla or any of you could address it. Just taking on the challenge of a player like Juju Watkins on both ends of the floor and the challenge that she presents.
You want me to speak? Yeah, Juju Watkins is a generational talent, and it's honestly going to be really fun playing against a player like her who obviously has worked on her game so much and prepared at such a high level and is such a great scorer. So it's going to be a lot of fun matching up against her, and we definitely are taking pride in the fact that we're in this place and we're playing against a high seed and getting ready to go against them at home. So, yeah, I mean, there's no way you can look past her when you're playing USC.
Mm.
Great.
How y'all doing? Kahari Jones with the Culver City Observer. Obviously, y'all playing a top seed like USC. Can y'all just talk about just y'all mental preparation, you know, with all the trapping that you all doing? You all just got a victory yesterday. You know, how do you all prepare for tomorrow's game against a loaded team like USC?
We've been really working, and we've been really putting in work, and mostly defensively. And we just hope that the defense that we had yesterday, because we believe that the defense that we had yesterday, the one that helped us win the game, and we're going to bring it tomorrow too.
Back to Beth.
Obviously, Juju isn't necessarily like just a one-on-one matchup. It seems like, you know, everybody's going to play some kind of part in defending her or whatever. Can you just kind of talk about how you maybe have to take that kind of team-minded approach to that assignment?
Yeah, just like what Medina said, defense is going to keep us in this game, kept us in the game yesterday. Just bringing that defensive mindset, letting our defense create our offense. Like you said, not just one person is going to have to guard Juju. Like, it's going to take a team effort to guard Juju. She's, like Chan said, an amazing player, generational player. So it's going to take all of us to be on the same page, and you know, we're going to bring it tomorrow.
What have you noticed about USC's defense? I mean, you guys are so good at scoring in the paint, but they're one of the best defensive teams in the country, too. Like, what is it going to take to exert your advantage in the paint against them? I guess Medina.
Wait, hold on. No,
okay.
I'm just fine. Yeah, Medina, you got it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good defensive team, and we just got to be smart. Yeah.
Jerkayla, do you have anything to add to that?
I would try to speak on behalf of my coach. He expressed us making sure we just go up with 2 feet. Make sure we stay in our layup, don't fade away, and just embrace the contact, not fade away from it. Like you said, they're a great defensive team. It's going to be a physical game, so just make sure we go up strong. And yeah, just going in with a head of steam, and just, you know, it's going to be a battle. So I'm excited for it.
We'll go back here.
Kahari Jones, Culver City Observer. Chandler, can you talk about just, it's women's, obviously it's Women's History Month, you know, does that play a part in just your motivation, you know, to kind of bring more eyes to what's going on today in the hype of everything?
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about how cool it is to hear like my family members, my friends posting and talking about the women's tournament so much. Like obviously the men's tournament's always the like real March Madness tournament, but like everyone's watching the women's play, and a lot of people are knowing the names and the faces and the stories of the players, which also means a lot because basketball is really cool, but like the locker room and the combination of all the different players from different places and people relating to their stories and being hometown heroes, that's what makes it really special. And especially during Women's History Month, we're putting on for women's sports, and it feels really cool.
Kayla or Medina, y'all want to add to that? Like y'all inspiration just behind playing this month?
They're both hometown heroes.
Yeah,
So,
I would say me from my personal experience. Just remember watching like the women's tournament like on TV and just watching it expand, like you said, like players like Juju, and you see all those players who've paved the way, and even beforehand, just watching how it grown and evolved in time, and like watching it with your own eyes, actually like not only that, but being a part of it, like playing against people who, you know, created the way. Is like I said, it's a cool experience. At the end of the day, like I'm still amazed and shocked, like coming all the way here, like in California. So it's cool and it's experience, and at the same time, we're here to play basketball, but at the same time, we're here to experience stuff too. So I'm grateful and, you know, excited for this whole journey.
Any others? Let me ask you, asked you guys about Juju, but USC is more than just Juju. What's your impression overall of the USC team, and without giving away your game plan, what do you have to really work on?
I think they're a gritty team. Teams that play such a difficult non-conference and conference competition, like playing UCLA 3 times up until this point, like they've learned how to stand and fight and to face adversity. But we do that every night in the SEC as well. So I think it's going to be a really gritty game, and it's going to come down to a lot of toughness. Like we said, where defense travels, and it's got to come to this gym tomorrow night. So it's going to be tough, it's going to be gritty, and we like a fight, so it's going to be fun.
Anything else? Okay, we'll finish right here.
Kahari Jones, Culver City Observer. Just this question's for any of you all. Like, what's y'all day-to-day like, you know, as far as like just preparation? Obviously, they're a deep team, like you said, like Tim just said. Can you just talk about just y'all watch film, you know, like what y'all resting y'all bodies, like what's y'all day-to-day like?
Yeah, honestly, we're still kind of adjust to the time. You know, what is it? I wake up at 7 a.m. every day because I think it's 9 a.m. back at home. So just adjust to the time. We got to rest a lot yesterday. I think we're resting a lot today. Really just got to bring our mind, our mental. But I think you know, I think we're ready. I think we're. Yeah, Medina, what do you think, Medina?
Yeah, just like Jakela said, we're having good rest today. We're off and getting treatments, and yeah, just trying to focus. Tomorrow is not gonna be easy. Yeah.
Shout out to our masseuse, Ebony, who we brought on the road with us, who's been taking good care of us. She's making sure we're ready.
Yeah, Katie Jones too, our strength coach. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. I like you, my guy.
No. In the next round? No. Oh, really? Oh, you're talking about because of today. Yeah. Who won that game? Kansas State. Oh, yeah. Yeah, wow.
Okay, we welcome Coach Sam Purcell from
Yes.
Mississippi State, and we will ask you to make some opening comments, and then we'll take questions from the group. And if anyone on Zoom has questions, please raise your hand.
First and foremost, it feels great to be here in Los Angeles another day. The team is excited, but obviously very tired because as much as I bragged about last round's preparation and opportunity with multiple days, you turn around and now are handed the number one team in the country or in our bracket, who I believe it could be the number one team in the country, and you try to jam in as much film as possible without overwhelming them, and then making sure at the same time we recover from last night's war with a lot of rest, rehab, and treatment. And so we feel like we've got a good game plan, but it's going to take an unbelievable effort again, like I said, on the defensive end. And then this challenge too is we got to have our best offensive execution. We can't turn the ball over, and we've got to have people, when we have open shots, knock it down in order to try to beat a team that nobody believes the Bulldogs are going to beat in every single bracket. All right. Like I said, I even turned on the news today, first take with my guy Stephen A. Smith, and it was already talking about USC versus UConn. So obviously we're just a speed bump that happens to be here. All right. And we're going to try to find a way to make it as a tough a competition as we can tomorrow.
Okay, we'll take questions.
Let's get the good ones.
Hi, Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. Juju gets a lot of headlines on this team, but I'm wondering
Which she deserves.
I'm wondering what stands out to you about their interior defense in particular, since you guys do so well in the paint.
Yeah, so their length. Again, I was just almost a fan yesterday instead of a scout watching them. They remind me of Kentucky in our league, who leads the SEC in blocks, where their guards are able to put great pressure on the ball, especially Samuels. I think she doesn't get enough credit on this team. You know, she doesn't start. She's not the first guard to come off the bench, but boy, does she change the energy of the game. And when you've got a water bug like that speeds you up, you know, you think you get past the first line, and then, here comes the second line. And so obviously, we're going to actually do a drill today. We haven't practiced, all right, that I'm going to line everybody up. And we're seriously going to do this. We're going to put the ball out, and I'm going to block it out of bounds. All right, and that's how we're going to start practice, because if we can have the mindset that we're going to get our shot blocked, as simple as that sounds, in the women's game, and understand that I need to bounce back and still come at them, then we'll have a fighter's chance. But if we allow their block shots to break our spirit, then we need to hurry and warm up the bus, or more importantly, they'll tell the bus driver to turn off the bus, and we better get right back on if we want a chance. So, to your question, it's just they're unbelievable with how well they can get after it, and they can make you look really ugly.
Go here to Beth.
Beth Harris, AP. Little off question from the game, but
Yeah.
With the men's tournament, there's a lot of talk about expansion of the field, and I'm wondering on the women's side what your thoughts are on maybe the pros and cons of possibly making this a bigger event.
Yeah, definitely expansion. I think there's a lot of good teams that you see that didn't get in. Obviously, I'm one of those teams that's always on the back end because of how tough my conference is, especially as we continue to add more powerful members. So I'm going to speak highly for it because just like I thought last year, and I'm speaking from my heart, I thought I had an NCAA tournament team that deserved to be in the NCAA tournament. And that was hard for me to have some transfer kids who came for 1 year and have to tell them, you know what, we didn't finish our goals. But we had a good enough season where I always say the eye test, and Kim Mulkey talks about a lot about this in the SEC, that we need some common sense. And so I think by expanding it, it allows common sense behavior to come in and say this team deserves it, instead of getting so caught up in net rankings or how you finished the last 7 games, that a body of work should ultimately determine who plays in the big dance. So that's why I'm a big favor of expanding it. And then obviously on the women's side, I'm going to take the next question even further if you're okay with this. I'm looking for the growth of getting to neutral sites in the first and second round. All right? Because as much as this game has grown, it's time for that move. All right, it's time that, especially when, I don't want to go negative with the hotels and things that we've heard because the women's game's got in a good spot, but we've got to get into more set sites where we have better accommodations for student athletes at this time of the year because those are the experiences they should experience come March. So that's where I stand. Hopefully that answered. I like the good questions. That was a good one. No pressure, my guy. You got the two ladies here that came with the smoke, okay?
Kahari Jones, Culver City. Can you talk about just, as you mentioned, just being the underdogs? You turned on your TV this morning and you see they already talking about USC, UConn. What does that do to your mindset? How does that make your team upset? Are they fired up? Do they get motivated by that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we fired up. And the best part about it, this ain't the first time we've been the underdogs. We're from the SEC where, it's South Carolina, Texas, Tennessee, Oklahoma. Nobody talks about us. But yet away, we play in a conference and we compete. And we fight for that top spot. And then, obviously, our kids know about us in Mississippi, not just Mississippi State. We get slept on as a state. All right, we have a lot of powerful things, a lot of powerful people that come out of there that we have a platform and a responsibility when given on the national stage to make a statement. And that's the energy and, most importantly, the DNA that is special about the people from Starkville, and that's what I try to have in my young women. Because, again, at the end of the day, are we playing basketball? You better believe it. But I want their education and their growth and who they are as people to always have an underdog mentality because those are the people that eat in the real world, and that's what I want for my young women.
I just want to follow up as well. How often you talk about, obviously, you got Juju as well, but, you say you put emphasis on the others, like Malia Sam used to be. You got a lot of other players.
Avery Howell.
Right, exactly, yeah. Avery Howell. Can you talk about just, what's the preparation like?
Yeah, man, it's a lot, right? It's a storm. I'll be honest with you. It's kind of like when we do South Carolina and everything. Most of the times you do about 6 kids on a scouting report. You got to talk about everybody because again, I think the hardest thing for Southern Cal is they got the starting 5, but their identity changes as they make rotations, and what each kid brings to the table comes to life. So you've really got to win segment basketball. I've told them this is like a final that you've studied for the last moment, that you got to make sure even when the third string point guard comes in, you understand what they're going to bring to the table, and we have to win those situations in order to beat a Southern Cal. And again, that's why I keep on saying you've got to have the perfect game, and we got to have it on the perfect night. But that's why I love March Madness. I don't have to beat them 7 times. I just got to beat them 1, and we got to be the best team tomorrow.
Let's go to a Zoom here. We'll take a question from Jacob Bain. Jacob, are you there on Zoom?
He's probably got the mute button like me. Technology is awesome until you forget to hit. Yep. He's on mute. Jacob, you're on mute, my guy.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Coach Jacob Bain, GeniusBase.com. Throughout the season, you've always remained super confident in your team throughout the ups and downs of the season. What have you seen from this team all year to kind of give you that confidence?
Yeah, it's his life. I'm actually looking at this quote on this back wall, "Fight on." That's the Southern Cal's obviously saying here for their school, and that's what we've done. Is when we've got punched in the face, we've fought on. And again, you can look at our record. We've won 1, lost 1, won 1, lost 1 in overtime, won 1. And I think if you look at the entire work and the body of everybody in the NCAA tournament, most kids fold 2 or 3 games, and my kids didn't do that. They fought on. And so when you go to war with my young women, you come to practice and they don't let losses turn into a second loss, but they want to bounce back. It only inspires you, and when you're inspired, that's where you get the ultimate confidence, and that's why I believe in them like no other, just because of who they are as people, and they're winners. And it's not just basketball. They're winners on and off the court, and I couldn't be more proud coach with a proud group.
Go back here. Jacob, you have a follow-up question?
Yeah. Yes. Coach, yesterday you decided to start Anaya over Chandler, who's been starting for about a month now. Kind of what went into that decision? Obviously, it worked out with Anaya playing well, but what went into that decision?
Yeah, just to mix up some things. I think if you look at our last 9 games, we haven't got off to we've lost the first quarter. So Chandler is the ultimate warrior. Chandler's somebody that is ultimately a different story because we talked about her when I took her in the portal. She's coming off an Achilles injury, and I told her give herself till Christmas to get her mind right because that's a serious injury, and then just allow minutes to come. And she did exactly what I thought she would, and then she played herself into a starting role. So I went with her because she was playing well, and then we weren't playing well as a team, and I thought Anaya gives us an energy and a lift out the gate, and I just simply told Chandler, I said, Chandler, we're in a special part of the season where I need to steal 6 to 7 points. I think Anaya starts. There's a different bounce about our team, and no offense to you, do you mind? And she was like, no. She was like, Coach, I just want to play at the end of the game. I don't care about the beginning. And let me tell you as a coach, that is the best thing a player can ever say to you, and that's the ultimate, reason why we're having success because it takes people that are willing to be about the team over me. And we made that move, and we won the first quarter, I think 12-5, I believe, right? And then Chandler was an unbelievable performance again, whether she starts or comes off the bench. She just was limited a little bit of her minutes because of foul trouble. But that was the reason it came to life, and a shout out to Chandler for being the ultimate teammate and upperclassman.
Hey, Coach. You have a history with Beth Burns from Louisville, right?
Yes.
I'm wondering what of her fingerprints you see on this USC defense.
Oh, how much time do we have, right? Oh, first of all, they're back to their winning ways. I mean, obviously, Lindsay's a phenomenal coach, too, but there's a DNA about the way they play on defense, all right, that I know that's Beth, especially how they pick up the ball. My years with Louisville, that was we'd stop practices if we didn't pick up the ball. So I just visualize myself back with her. I see the post-game comments, and I read them now that I study them and some of the language they say and the things they take pride in. I can tell that's Beth Burns, right? She's just always been a defensive coach where she gets after it. And then when you watch the game film, you can't hide the people that are invested. I love, us coaches, head coaches have a responsibility to work the sidelines and stand up and go at the referees. But the ones who pay attention on the scout, those are the coaches that get the maddest or I told you not to do this, right? You see that in Beth Burns, and you can see the pride that she gets mad when you give up 2 points, right? We're talking about 2 points. But again, that's why they're the team that they are, and that's why they can make you look ugly because she's a fighter, like I said, especially with cancer research and her whole life and her story. That's why I said it in my last press conference. I hope she gets the flowers that she deserves as an assistant now, that if, they take in other coaches outside the norms of former head coaches, that she gets an opportunity for the Hall of Fame for what she's done for women's basketball, but most importantly for KL research. And there's a lot of people who get on that board but don't stay on it. She's been on it from as long as I've known her, for 15 to 20 years, and she sacrifices her time, and she has a heart for people. So just really proud for her and happy for her, but if she could just take one game off tomorrow for me, all right, that's the least she could do for me since I'm trying to get her in the Hall of Fame. Fair, right? Don't you think? It's Southern hospitality here on the West Coast.
We'll do one last question. Beth, down here.
Beth Harris, AP. I'm wondering if you've tried the jerk sauce.
Yes.
That's on sale down at your place.
It is. It's phenomenal. So actually, Jimmy, who's in here with me, when they sold it first time after Christmas, they had it in our stands with some nachos, and I said, listen, I'm not doing press until I get some jerk sauce. I've got to taste this, and it was phenomenal. It's sold out. All right, we got a hot market, just like LA's a hot market. All right, we got a hot market down in Starkville, man. Things are popping off the shelf down there. Credit to her, and then credit to her too, because NIL is a really cool space right now, and a lot of times it's corporate ran where you just put a face on the brand. What was cool about what our Mississippi people did is they actually brought her down to the plant, and they made her taste the different sauces, so she chose what her name and her face was going to be on. How cool and dope is that, right? So not only did she approve it, but it actually tastes good. So I'm proud of her, and then just proud of the people in Mississippi investing in women's basketball, just like they are here at the USC on the women's side, because, again, the women's game, man, what a great product we got going on right now. And then I also want to give one more last shout out, all right? If I could get some Hollywood stars to DM me or tweet me, all right? I need my people. I know Snoop Dogg's probably coming here from USC, John Legend. I see all these people, all right? I'm trying Jimmy Kimmel. All right, Jimmy Kimmel's from LA, right? Vegas, but he's here in LA, right? Okay, Jimmy Fallon didn't pick the Bulldogs. Okay, so maybe Jimmy Kimmel might want to come in, hit me up on DM. I'll get him tickets. Jimmy, is it too late for the ticket list? I need a star behind my bench. So that's my last request. We're going to play the land of the stars. We got our back against the wall. Let's have a little fun with this, and let's make a great game for women's basketball tomorrow. Does that sound good?
Great.
Thank you.
Coach, thanks for coming
Thanks,
in.
everybody.
Good luck tomorrow.
Have a great day.
Okay, we'll begin with our USC pressers. Before we introduce the players, let me remind you to silence your cell phones, raise your hand, and wait for the mic if you have a question. State your name and affiliation, please. For those of you on Zoom, raise your hand and we'll get to you also. And with that, I'd like to introduce our two USC student athletes. We have Rhea Marshall and Avery Howell. We'll take questions from the group. Raise your hand if you have it. Ryan?
Ryan Carci, LA Times. Rhea, Lindsay was talking yesterday about how you've really taken pride in being at the head of the press when you guys initiate that. Was that just an instinctual thing for you? It kind of came to you naturally, or is that something that's developed over time?
I would definitely say that's something. Hi, Ryan. I would definitely say that's something that's I can say I developed here in the program. Something Coach B has brung to my game that over time is just strengthened, and also just the confidence that my coaches and teammates instill in me. And then another thing is also a part of the game plan. So that's something that I'm prepared for prior to games.
How have you just seen this defense get better and better with that press? It seemed like in this past game that was really when things changed.
For sure. So a lot of time, a lot of watching film, also just a lot of we were watching film, just certain players we know who to take advantage of, who to be more aggressive, who to fall back, have an awareness of shot clock. So I say the more that we go deeper into season, the more we're comfortable with trapping with each other, the more I know which teammate I can strongly trap, which teammate I can, we can force a 10-second backcourt. So with time, just learning my teammates and also just keep locking in on the scout so I know which players I can be more aggressive with.
Let's go to Beth down here.
Beth Harris, AP. Rhea, I'm asking this with a freshman sitting next to you, but how did you see the freshmen overall, just kind of looking back at game one, not only just the game itself, but kind of mentally and just how they handled themselves, being the first game of the tournament, it can be overwhelming.
For sure. I feel like one thing that I like to pride Coach G on a lot is she recruit really, really good people, so not just players, but just people off the court. Avery right here, actually, I'm going to get off on back about her. When we have team structure studies, she can get out of there early and fast because she has no work, because she's crushing her work in her own time. And then another thing, also, just like with these freshmen, a lot of the time, they're in practice, what a lot of people don't see is how competitive they are. They don't take the backseat in anything. They're talking, they're vocal. And also, I feel like Lindsay have prepared them for games like this because they get to play. Like, it's not, we're in tournament now, come throw them in a game, but they had reps in preseason, they have reps in season. So now when we're in NCAA tournament, they can hit big shots because they had the experience versus UCLA. We played Notre Dame, we've played top teams, and they're thriving.
Clinton Yates, ESPN. You mentioned the press and how much you take pride in it, but you guys were hitting that thing up 30 to the point that, it wasn't like it was necessary in that game. But what are you working on at that stage of the game in terms of how you're communicating defensively for the next opponent when you are going to install that again?
Well, a lot of that goes with the coaches and the preparation and scout, but also I feel like when it's March, it's all about wins. So whatever I need to, whether it's we're pressing or we just picking up full court man, I feel like just being aggressive to get the W, forcing turnovers, being vocal with my teammates. When we're all locked in and on the same court, I feel like we're a contender to win the national championship.
Harvey Jones, Culver City. Questions for Avery. Can you talk about what Mississippi State coach talked about you? You and Malia and other players as well. How have you been prepared to just play big and prepare for these moments throughout the season?
Yeah, I think that kind of like what Rhea said, all of us have been working this whole season in practice and games just to be ready for any moment that we're given. So especially coming off a bench, I try to be a spark for our team, fill in gaps where it's needed, trying to read the game from the sideline, and then when I get in, trying to make the best impact that I can. I think a lot of us do that. So I think it's just we're focusing on what's in front of us, so we're ready for this next game and we're preparing for that one. But for the main part, it's just every moment is super important in this time.
There, Marissa and Jemmy, San Francisco Chronicle. Rhea, I was just wondering, what's it been like playing with Kiki this year? Like, what's that experience been like overall, and what's your relationship like with her?
Okay, so I've been knowing Kiki since like early high school. We've always played against each other, but every day, I've never experienced Kiki every day. Like, we've never been on the same team. So we actually are locker partners. Every day she's coming in consistently, bringing in great energy. She's coming in, she's saying good morning. Like, in her head, she really a princess. Like, she walks around like, good morning, everyone. She's really sweet. But then also playing with Kiki is like having a cheat code. Like, she can do it all. Her tempo is always great. Even when we have those practices we'll have practices the day after a game, and Coach Lindsay is like walking through, but Kiki's just like going 100 every day. She's fun, she's competitive, she's also she's one to really just uplift your spirit with her presence. She's genuinely sweet, and I've actually been honored to play alongside her this year.
Back to Ryan.
Ryan Carci, LA Times. Avery, I know I kind of asked Rhea this, but in terms of this press defense, when you guys are running that, what is it that makes it so suffocating about the way you guys run it, and how difficult, as a freshman, how hard was it to kind of get in the rhythm of the way you guys do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we work on it a lot in practice, so the more we practice it, the better it feels in a game. And I also think for the personnel we have on this team, that can be a really energizing thing for us, kind of can get everyone going. And I think that it's a good thing to fall back on if we need a little pickup, so just being able to just fall into that press. And I think that it's been a really good thing for our team this year, and we rep it a lot. Coach B's on us about where we go and everything, and I think that whoever the dog is in the front, most of the time it's Rhea, just brings it, kind of starts it all for us, being loud, being big, that scare factor at the front, which is really energizing for our team.
Clinton Yates, ESPN. Obviously, you guys have your opponents in front of you that you watch film on, but just as a team, do you get to watch games? This is for either one of you together. Do you still get to kind of be any sort of basketball fans, even though you're locked in on your own schedules with all the other games happening in the tournaments around the country?
I mean, yeah, I watch a lot of basketball, have all my life, and I think that especially during March Madness, it's super fun to watch games, kind of to see what's going on other sides of things, especially early on. But I think that our main focus still is on us and on our opponent, so that's definitely what we keep our eyes on. But it is fun to see what's going on. But yeah, for the main part, it's just focused on us.
Yeah, I also have friends on other schools, other teams. So it's March. It's fun to watch basketball. So I'm watching.
Can you talk about your opponent for tomorrow and what you see and expectations?
Who won the game?
For Mississippi State.
For Mississippi State, you want to go first?
Yeah, we're excited to play. We're excited to be in this next round game, so we're excited to face them. We know that it's going to be a tough game, just like a lot of teams are facing right now in March Madness. But I think that we have a good game plan, and we're ready to hit it face on tomorrow.
Yep, our last game in Galen Center for the season. We're looking to go out with a bang, and we have a great competitor in front of us. So just starting there, sticking to our game plan, and looking to compete, and hopefully go out with a win in front of our home crowd.
Okay. Ray, let me ask you also about Coach Purcell from Mississippi State. Coached with Beth Burns and had a lot of very nice things to say about her in here previously. And I know she's had an impact defensively for all you guys and you. Can you talk about Coach Burns and what she's meant?
Yeah, for sure. So I'd probably say Coach Burns came to SC my sophomore year, my senior year now, and I feel like that's when I really started playing elite level defense. I never experienced a defensive scout like that until she came, and same thing every game. She's handling the defensive side of our scouts, and it really shows because every game plan, every defensive game plan looks different. And with her knowledge, I feel like that's a lot of the reason we have a lot of the wins. And then also one thing about Coach Burns is not just we have principles, so it's not just, this game we're going to do this game we're going to do that. But, like, in practice, she's really, like, pushing us to battle one-on-one defensively or making sure the bigs are in help. So, so it's just, like, just picking her mind defensively has helped my game a lot.
Okay. Any other questions for student athletes? Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck tomorrow. Okay, we'll get started here. Again, remember to raise your hand for a question. Wait for the microphone. State your name and affiliation. Those on Zoom, please raise your hand and we'll get to you. And with that, we'll ask Coach Lindsay Gottlieb of USC to make some opening comments, and then we'll take some questions.
Sorry. Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming out. We are excited to still be playing, to have one more game here in LA at Galen Center against a really tough opponent, a well-coached opponent, and a team that earned their way, to the Monday game just like we did. So our players are focused and ready, and we're looking forward to Monday night.
Start over here.
Hey, Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. You've played a lot of really good bigs this season on your schedule. How does OCOT sort of compare to what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, she was actually, much bigger in person than she had seemed on film, which sometimes happens. I think she's got really good hands. She moves well. When you've played Lauren Betts 3 times, I don't think our players are rattled by the sight of a good big, but we have a ton of respect for her. She's legit, and we got to be ready to go.
Go right here.
Marissa and Jimmy, San Francisco Chronicle. Lindsay, I was wondering, has anything Kiki's done surprised you this year? Or what's it been like to coach her? What did you kind of expect from her coming in from Stanford? And how have you seen her grow this year?
Even though you get to know someone in the recruiting process, obviously we had a very kind of close glimpse of her for the years that she was playing at Stanford, and then I'd even seen her kind of on the club circuit. But you never know what someone's going to be like day to day. And so I don't know if surprise is the right word, but she's impressed me day in and day out. I mean, I remember when we first started practicing, I was like, dang, I only get her for 1 year. But then I was like, that's, first world problems, Lindsay. Focus on the fact that we do have her for a year, but she's been a joy. She brings a tremendous energy every day. You almost got to fight the notion of taking it for granted how her motor is and her personality, and literally bringing that intensity level and that energy every day. She's done that. But I think what I've been most impressed about, and she and I have talked about this, is the journey just around the narrative around it. She had an interesting kind of career at Stanford in that, she really didn't sort of become a relied upon star really until like midway through her last year there. And she came in here with a ton of eyes, a ton of expectations. People in their last year, when you're thinking about the draft and stuff, already have a lot on their plate, but then she was kind of put in a fishbowl of stuff. And I've just been so proud of her ability to just stay true to the process and why she came here and what she was looking for. And I've said this publicly, and I've said this to her, we are nowhere near the kind of level or echelon or have the goals that we have if she's not here. Like, she's an incredible part of that, and she really has grown. I mean, from the defensive end, and I know WNBA teams are recognizing that she can guard anybody. We have her switching on screens. We have her guarding bigs. We have her guarding smalls. She can play in the post. She can stretch it. She can handle the ball a bit. Her passing. So I think she's grown in a lot of ways on the basketball court. But to me, really, the maturity of getting out of her comfort zone when it would have been easier to stay where she was when things were kind of worked around her in a familiar system, to saying I'm going to get out of that and I'm going to grow myself and go in a bit of more of a pro-style system and go play at home with all the expectations of trying to compete for a championship. I think she's taken it all on, and I really want for her to get everything kind of that potentially can come, at the end of the rainbow sort of thing, because she's given everything to us.
Over here, Clint.
Clint Yates, ESPN. Excuse me. You guys really got after it with the press last game in terms of 4 quarters of it and picking up full. What did you learn about your team in terms of what they can do well beyond just the result on the court then that you're going to be able to take forward going into the rest of the tournament?
Yeah, well, we know that the press is a weapon for us. Certainly when our offense is, sputtering in any way, it's a good defensive weapon for us, but it also kickstarts our offense. We know that that's something that's in our arsenal. I thought, we did a really good job of using that press to give us some energy that then we carry over into every aspect of the game. So it's just one of the things that I think we're capable of doing.
Last follow-up quickly. Last game at Galen Center, as you mentioned, on the season. Can you give me sort of a recap of what this year has been like for you guys and the home crowd and what they've given to your squad?
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable where we've come. I was telling that to the talent that was in there calling the game for us. They said, "Oh, it was a great crowd here," and I said it would feel even greater if you were here 2 or 3, 4 years ago. When really the knock on this place that I would hear all the time in recruiting is, oh, they can't get fans. LA can't support women's basketball. Yes, we can. Yes, they can. Yes, they have. And it's been incredible to see. But it's not just that it's full. There's an unbelievable energy. I'm so impressed and enamored by our crowd. They're awesome. They're fun. Throughout the course of this year, it's been like a movie, with the celebrities that have been here, and the people that come all the time. The little girls in their Juju jerseys, and now we had everybody else's jerseys out there too, and Rhea jerseys and all of that. There's just an unmatched energy. I think you have to be here and experience it to really understand it's different than other people's crowds, and I'm really grateful for it, and I'm really proud of how we've built it and how LA and the community has shown up. I think we are very much the community's team here, and it's cool to just be a part of that, and I'm hoping that it's a big factor on Monday night because we need a great crowd, and I know they'll show up for us.
Beth Harris, AP. On the men's side, there's talk about possibly expanding the tournament field, and I'm wondering on the women's side what your thoughts are on the possibility of making this a bigger event with more teams.
Yeah, to be honest, I like to read a lot of stuff about, sports from a global perspective, but I haven't spent that much time thinking about that just because I'm so locked in on what we're doing. Typically I'm always open to change and progressive ideas, but I think we all think we've got a pretty good product, and it's a pretty unbelievable tournament, and so I don't really have a strong feeling, but it's hard to, it's hard to think anything gets better than what we have, but I'd have to do a little bit more studying to see what I really think.
With the growth of the women's game, is it time to change to neutral sites for the first and second rounds?
I don't know that we're there yet. I mean, I think that, the energy you're seeing across the country, we've now built it to where all the home sites, I think, really are great crowds. I mean, I thought it was an incredible crowd for the second game yesterday. I mean, I think our fans are savvy basketball fans in state. I thought Cal traveled great. I thought Mississippi State brought a contingent. And I think you lose something if you go to a neutral site, and you just never know, right? You never know what that's going to bring. So I think there's a ton of growth in women's basketball, and ultimately you want to get to sold-out buildings on neutral courts, and then really it is the most, even kind of tournament, but I'm not sure that we're quite there yet, but we're getting there.
Kahari Jones, Culver City Observer. Can you talk about Malia Samuels? The things she do off the court, Coach kind of praised her a little bit. Everyone talks about Juju, but we have Malia and Avery over here.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the things that she do that's not necessarily shown on the scoreboard?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this as a staff. I think every player at every level from, middle school to high school to college to the pros should study the way that Malia has really handled her role. I mean, I don't know that there's someone, better at being ready for what they're supposed to do and coming in and doing it well. And I don't think that's just something that you wake up and say, this is what I'm going to do. I think you got to buy into that and feel that and find a way, to be ready in big moments when maybe it's not necessarily 30 minutes every game, in every moment that your name is called. And she's a huge part of what we do. Her defense, particularly at the point of attack and stopping the ball and pressuring the ball, is huge. Her ability to run an offense, as the point guard, pick her spots, use her explosiveness to get to the paint, but also set us up. She's been really impressive. And, she's a really important part of our depth, and we rely on our depth in a lot of different ways.
Go, Ryan.
Ryan Carci, LA Times. Lindsay, you talked about the press being a weapon kind of on both sides. I wonder how that's progressed over the time that you've been here. Is it, has Beth kind of been constantly adding more to it, or is it just a matter of the personnel changing, or how has that gotten better over time?
I mean, since I hired Coach B, we've used what we call this Mad Dog press. Just there's times and flow of how much we use it or not as much or what have you. Sometimes it depends on us and our personnel. Sometimes it depends on opponents. But I think what has happened is, the personnel has grown into those roles. We talked about Rhea, yesterday. Rhea's been one of the mad dogs, her spot on the press for a couple of years, but she's really evolved to now where she could teach a clinic in it. She could be in the video for, the mad dog, how you play the mad dog. And then I think what we've learned over the course of this season with all of our personnel is how to feed off of one another. I think you see it in the half court too. I think people have learned how to feed off of Kennedy's defense or Malia's defense up at the point of attack, or what Rhea can do, what Juju can do, protecting the basket with their shot blocking or what have you. And I think with our press, it's the same kind of thing. You kind of tweak the press, but more so you figure out who else can do what and how do I feed off other people.
Playing Mississippi State tomorrow, but it could have been Cal. And I know you guys have seen Cal a bit over the past few years in Pac-12 play, but this year for them to get to the tournament, what have you thought about seeing the way they've grown and the job that Charman's done there?
Yep. Cannot be more proud of Charman in that group. Charman and I talked a lot when I was in the NBA, and they had the COVID year and the struggles, and people don't really see what it takes to get to the other side. And I think Charman and her staff really weathered that storm, got creative, figured out how to be good, and then coached the heck out of that team. And, I nominated her in a WBCA award for Coach of the Year. I think she should have been in conversations for, ACC Coach of the Year, National Coach of the Year, because I think it's easy to look at the teams that are 30-3 and coaches have done great jobs. But sometimes, teams that are picked to finish whatever they were in their conference, 13th, 14th, and end up in the top half and a solid tournament team don't get talked about enough. I also think, I watch them and know them, from before they were in our bracket, right? For someone like Michelle Onya to stay 5 years and improve as much as she did, and figure out the new people that are coming in. And I was super proud of Kayla Williams stepping in there and playing great for them. She's a USC grad and did amazing things for us. I think that group did a lot of great things. And like I said, it would have been hard, to face them here. That's why you never want to. But just to sit back and watch that game yesterday, scouting. I don't think they were at their best. But I also wrote Charmin a text that said they should only be thinking about how proud they are of what they did. And I thought they really brought Cal basketball back to what we've all known it to be. And I just will root for them to continue to do so. But I think a moment to say what a great year they had, I think, is really important.
Hey, just to go back to that conversation about the hosting sites real quick.
Yep.
Maybe the first weekend is a different conversation, but what do you think about the women's tournament going back to 4 regionals?
Yeah, I've thought a little bit more about that recently. Look, this year, having 2 regional sites, hypothetically, could be an advantage for a team like us. If UCLA, let's say, was the top team in the West, then, we wouldn't have been in the West, right? And so, okay, you give a chance. But when you look at it, just as I've thought about it a little bit, to have a Spokane and a Birmingham and the Final Four is in Tampa, just seems a little bit, there's just a lot of travel involved for most people, right? And, you get teams that, who make it to Spokane or are coming from the East are going to have to go really far west and then go back if they were to get to Tampa. So I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I know why the NCAA did it, to kind of focus on 2 places and try and build up fans there. But you also kind of leave out sections of the country who find it harder to get to certain places. So I'm not the expert on all that. When they make, what is it? Someone always said, when they make me czar of women's basketball, I'll delve more into it. But I think there's pros and cons. But the more I'm hearing from colleagues, I think people like the 2 sites less. But we've got it for a while. And so to me, whatever they tell us to go, we're going to go. We're focused on obviously winning a game tomorrow. I haven't really thought too much about locations at all. But all of us feel kind of when you're in it, wherever they're going to tell us to go, we're going to go. And so I think, the 2 sites thing needs a little more time for people to really decipher whether it's the right thing.
Do one last question over here.
Cowie, USCFootball.com. I asked all the players about pace. This year, this team has, had really good pace in the fast break. Yesterday in the first quarter, of course, you guys didn't play as well as you wanted. And I noticed that you told them to push the ball up a lot. How important is, having a good pace and getting the ball up and starting the offense, going forward through March Madness and all these games?
Yeah, we think when we're fast, there's not that many teams that are as fast as we are. So it's just like any other thing. If you have an advantage, if you're a great 3-point shooting team, like you'd be silly not to shoot threes, or if you're great, at X, Y, and Z. So for us, like playing fast is something that we do well. So we do like to generate pace. You can do that off missed baskets, and you go. You can do it off made baskets and not walk it up, and you can certainly do it, off turnovers and pressing when you're trying to create tempo. So we try and do it in all different ways. But yeah, we do feel like, we'd rather play a faster game than a slower game.
Okay, Coach, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Good luck
Appreciate
to
you guys.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. I tried to make this quiet and all.
A reminder.